guys, this bit is letter style because it's too many thoughts to try and express on the spot. And if you've watched any of my videos for more than 15 consecutive seconds, you know there is little I enjoy more than talking. When I started this up, I tried to do weekly uploads, but considering my last episode was in 2023, clearly that did not work. But new year, new me, as the kids say. I think a big part of my burnout, more than just the demanding schedule I tried to set for myself, was that I was trying to do this the way my favorite podcasters and true crime people do it, instead of being my genuine self, yapping and all. It felt too forced at times. My new goal is to complete 1 episode a month, give or take, and I'm just going to try to do my best to just be me and not who I think you all would want me to be. I guess you guys will see these when you see them. Enjoy little old me as your host, or not, and that's that. Welcome to Dollies Dread. My name is Gracie. I am a professional reborn artist, and this is a series I do on my YouTube where I share scary tales of all kinds while you get to watch me work in real time. If you are into both reborn dolls and spooky stories, you are in the right place. If you are into reborns but not true crime, please check out the other videos I share on here that are all of the dollies and none of the dread. If you are interested in neither of these topics and don't know how you got to this side of YouTube, I fear this may not be the channel for you. Please take a cookie along with my sincerest apologies on your way out. Hey guys, so I'm here with my little baby angel sister. She my bestie. Say hi, Belle.
Hey guys.
Okay, so I am stoked. We have not done one of these, literally 2023, because I was looking and I was like, wow, that was a long time ago. And I thought about it all last year, and now I'm finally doing it. So we'll see how it goes. I have missed doing these. I just could not keep up with that schedule. So today's episode is Man vs. Grizzly. So this is a survival story. This is not a true crime. I thought that I would work in some more, a little more variety, you know, because like I like true crime, but I also like survival and just spooky stories in general. I love Reddit, like r/ and all that. So I am very excited to be covering this. This one's going to be a long one, so I'm gonna quit my yapping and we're just going to jump right in. If you truly love nature, you will find beauty everywhere. Vincent van Gogh. Everyone loves nature. The sun on your skin, the colors, the smells. There's truly nothing better than just getting outside in the fresh air. Many people believe nature can heal you. However, it is also a well-known fact that it can be your end given the right circumstances. I believe no one knows this fact as well as Johan and Jenna Otter. On a seemingly normal hike in Glacier National Park, August 25th, 2005, Johan Otter and his daughter Jenna got a bit more nature than they'd set out for. At the time, Johan was a 45-year-old physical therapist from Escondido, California, and 18-year-old Jenna had just graduated high school, mere weeks away from beginning her college education at University of California. The pair had often gone on arduous hikes together and were no strangers to the great outdoors. To celebrate Jenna's graduation, they decided to make the hike to Grinnell Glacier, totaling 11 miles in all. So this girl had just turned 18 and just graduated high school, so she's like a little bit younger than you are right now. First of all, I can't hike.
Me either.
I am not the shape of person.
11 miles.
Yeah, I'm not the shape of person that can go on hikes. I wanna. I will. Maybe not after you hear the story.
Yeah.
Okay. So the two began their journey at 7 a.m., later than Johan had initially suggested. Jenna had declined the earlier start time, stating, "No, you need to stick to business hours when you're in Grizzly country." However, determined to avoid the large crowds they suspected this particular trail would bring, they set off at a quick pace. Approximately 2 hours into the hike, with plans to later make the trek to Iceberg Lake, they discussed how much further they'd need to travel before coming to the turnaround point, with Jenna taking the front. At this point of their hike, they came upon a large, jutting boulder about 20 feet in height. As Jenna was making her way past the boulder, she came to an abrupt stop. She had come face to face with a 300-pound mother grizzly bear with her 2 cubs. Even those with the most limited knowledge of wildlife likely understand what kind of a threat the situation posed to Jenna's life. She had time to take about 2 steps backwards to an unsuspecting Johan and shout, "Oh no." His own parental instincts kicked in and he placed himself in front of his child, hoping to stand his ground and stave off an attack. Johan was unaware that this was not only an enormous grizzly, but a mother with her cubs, making this one of the most dangerous situations that Mother Nature has to offer. Can you imagine? You're walking and you're like, oh, what beautiful rocks. And then you're like it's just right there. Like, it's in one of the articles that I was reading, like, doing the research. It said that, like, Johan, there was an interview with him, and he said that it was literally, like, he was behind and didn't see it. She saw it before he did. But whenever he realized it was so close, she could have reached out and, like, touched its face. And
I would have actually put my
of all of the situations that you could be in, that's like, scary nature things, that is probably
the worst.
That's probably the worst. Like, there's a
Absolutely.
reason that people call, like, fierce moms and, like, parents protecting mother bears.
Right.
Like, I can't think of anything that I would want to encounter, like, less than this.
Same.
So, by standing in front of his daughter, Johan did successfully draw the bear's attention away from her, resulting in the animal's fangs and teeth coming at him in a blur of brown fur and maternal rage. Her mouth closed around his left thigh. Johan later stated that he didn't fight back because there was no time to. He heard Jenna cry out, and then there was the impact of the bear's attack, and he was knocked off his feet. Once down, he jerked away from the bear's mouth, going over the edge of the trail down a steep embankment, falling about 20 feet. Can you imagine?
No. Not at all.
You just got your crap rocked by a grizzly bear, and then off of a ledge you go and just tumble 20 feet. I remember being on the playground and sitting on top of, like, the slide, and I was like, I'd probably DIE if I fell off this right now.
Yeah.
I can't imagine, like, the terror. I don't like heights. I don't like bears.
I think I'd be more worried about the bear. I'm sure he's like, he
Oh,
was
yeah.
more in shock than worried about falling.
Right.
But
Well, he's in one of the interviews too. He said, he was like, is this like a giant, like, what is this? Like, cause it was just fur coming at him and probably was a little bit of shock. He was like, is this like a giant badger? And he was like, no way. It's a bear. And so that, and then over the hill. Yeah. And he was saying, like, how quickly the bear could, like, scale the ledges of these embankments.
Yeah.
Like, terrifying. Still at the initial site of the encounter, Jenna later stated she had lost consciousness after attempting to use the bear spray, unaware there was a safety latch that needed to be undone before it could fire. When the bear spray had failed, everything went black and she had her own 50-foot tumble, breaking her back on impact.
Oh.
Jenna had fallen in a different direction from her dad, who had yelled for her when he'd fallen, once again drawing the bear's attention. It's also in that article, it said that the bear spray had fallen out of the pack, and so she found it, and, like, in 5 seconds, like, she's, like, trying to get it to work, and it's not. Can you imagine? Like, that's my nightmare. Like, I have had nightmares where I'm, like, there's, like, an intruder or something, and I'm trying to fight back, and my weapon is, like, not working, and then I wake up, and she lived that.
Breaking her back.
Yes.
That's the craziest.
Yes.
50 feet.
50 feet and broke her back, and we'll talk more about their injuries, like,
That's
towards the end.
insane. What kind of luck did they have? Like, oh
I
my
don't
gosh,
know,
she
brother.
couldn't pull out the freaking...
No, yeah, because it had fallen out of the pack, and then she had it, and it wouldn't fire. And so she literally was like, this is it, and then fainted because of the fear of, like, I can't get this to work, and, like, not knowing what else to do.
Right. That's insane.
So remember, Johan had yelled for Jenna whenever he fell. So the bear was like, oh, okay. And got the bear's attention again. So this time, Johan had seen the bear coming and put himself into the fetal position. The grizzly attacked once again, this time grabbing hold of the man's backpack and picking up the 165-pound, 6-foot-tall man off the ground as if he were nothing. In an interview, he said, all I could think was, this is bizarre. But Jenna later told me I was screaming. Then I remember thinking, Jenna doesn't have a backpack. If this happens to her, she's dead. That's when the realization set in. I needed to keep this bear with me. I can protect myself, but Jenna doesn't have this extra protection. I think my screaming kept it on me. So, I think the thing with bears, what is it? If it's black, fight back. If it's brown, lay down. If it's white, say goodnight. Like, there's no. So, screaming protected his daughter, but for a grizzly, that just made him seem like more of a threat. And at this time, Johan still was not aware that this was a mama grizzly bear. He had no idea that her cubs were there.
Right.
Because grizzlies won't normally attack people, like, to eat them.
Yeah.
But they're very, very defensive, obviously, of their young. So, makes sense. But he didn't know that. But all he could think at the time was, like, protecting his kid. Which I think speaks to how awesome parents are when they're good ones.
Yeah.
Mid-attack, Johan once again threw himself down another embankment, falling another 30 feet. The bear was instantly on top of him again, with Johan's hand at the bear's throat. He was searching for any weapon he could find, only coming upon a rock that crumbled in his fist. Not wanting to provoke her, he once again curled into the fetal position. At this time, Johan was still unaware this was a mother grizzly. Instead of giving up and abandoning him, the bear increased its attack, this time going for his head. So that's what I was talking about earlier whenever I was saying, like, he remarked on how quickly the bear, I mean, it's like it was impact of the fall and the bear was right there on him again. And also from my nightmare, back to the weapons not working, you grab a rock and it turns to dust. I would have turned to dust.
Me too.
Right then, immediately. That's horrific.
I don't think I've heard anything with, like, worse luck.
I know, it's horrible.
It's awful.
So, he felt the puncture of the fang in the base of his skull, along with immense pressure and a cracking sensation. Realizing she was not going to stop and that he may lose his life in a matter of moments, Johan tossed himself down another embankment, falling an additional 20 feet. If this attempt to flee did not succeed, the only other drop he could make would be several hundred feet. The bear did come after him again, but this time, deciding the man was dead or just simply no longer a threat to her young, observed him for a moment before wandering off, never to be seen by Johan again. So he had fallen, and he was, from my understanding, basically on like a cliff. So it was like, well, he said it wasn't like a super vulnerable position, but he was waiting. He was like, his last defense in the article, he said, was he was waiting for the bear to come down, and he was like, I'm gonna throw this mug off the cliff. Like, he was gonna use his legs and try to kick her off of the cliff. And he was like, I don't know if I could even do that, but it was that or death.
Right.
But for whatever reason, I guess him laying like still and silent, she was like, okay, threat eliminated. And that was that.
But he wished he had done it earlier.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, up until this point, the bear, like, he didn't know where Jenna was. Like, he knew she'd fallen, but she fell in a different direction. So all he was thinking was, like, I gotta protect my kid. Mm-hmm. Like, I've got to keep this bear away from my child. So.
I don't think I would have even been able to, like, think anything.
No, I wouldn't.
Like,
no
that
thoughts.
thought wouldn't have, like, crossed my mind. Like, I obviously don't have kids, but, like, even if I did, like, the shock I would be in, I just physically, I don't think that I would, like, be able to think about that. So, like, kudos to him. Right.
Well, and so, for me, the only instance I have of, like, gotta protect my kids, I was actually just talking to somebody about this the other day. It was not a bear, but a car wreck. And, the second, like, we got hit, and some people listening to this, if they have subscribed to me for long enough, they probably remember that from 2023, but we got T-boned and we flipped, and, like, I don't know, man, there's a switch. When you have kids, something flips, and the second we stopped, my first thought, I remember going, we're upside down in the middle of a busy road. I was like, somebody is not going to see that, and they're going to hit us again. Yeah. So I was sitting there, like, frozen, and the second I realized that was not happening, I was just wailing, like, my babies, my babies, my babies, and I would have flipped the car back over to get to my kids. I don't know. It's crazy. Like, I can't explain it.
Yeah.
And I don't know, something with adrenaline. It was almost like animalistic. Like, I yelled at somebody. Yeah. And you know I don't yell at people.
No.
And there was a very kind person, like, trying to assist me. But, like, my son was yelling for me and reaching for me. And I was reaching for him. But I had hurt my arm. And the lady was like, oh, sweetie, your arm. And I was like, give me my baby. Like, yelled at this very nice woman who just goes,
I feel like it would definitely, like, hit different if I had kids. Like, I feel like nobody understands that unless you actually do have kids.
Yeah, it's crazy. I don't know what it is. Something, I don't know. Instinct, I guess. Something changes.
Yeah, it's insane.
So, Jenna, still laying in the spot she'd fallen after the initial attack, was not so lucky. After leaving Johan where he'd been laying, the bear returned to her and began attacking. Initially, Jenna had tried to fight, wrapping her hands around the animal's throat, but quickly realized that she needed to play dead. After biting her face and then her shoulder, but getting no response from Jenna, the grizzly abandoned her and returned, presumably, to her babies. Neither of the pair called out to the other, not wanting to draw the bear's attention again. Johan was unable to do much in the way of assisting Jenna due to the severity of his injuries. When he finally felt it was safe enough to yell for his child, she called back. Johan said, I waited a little longer, then I yelled for Jenna. She called back immediately, and her voice was strong. That was the best sound I've ever heard. He abandoned his backpack and crawled to a ledge, covering his head with the hood of his jacket, stating he did not want anyone to have to see his wounds. Real for that, because I'll be like, my hair. No, but I mean, seriously.
I think about, which is like kind of weird, but I do think about like bad things happen to me like all the time.
I think it's normal,
and like even like a fire or something. But like I always think like I would grab my phone or grab like what would I grab whenever like I was like in need of it. But like you're not gonna take that when you die. So like.
Right.
He didn't grab his backpack, and I was like, I would definitely, like, grab my backpack. It's awful, but, like...
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he was probably just thinking about... Well, see, because, like, I've had thoughts like that, too, and back to the car wreck, because that's the only, like, traumatic thing, like, really genuinely traumatic thing that's ever happened to me. And in that moment, I wasn't thinking about... Actually, my glasses came off in the wreck, and I was in shock to the point... Like, I cannot see without my glasses. Right. I'm not just like, tee-hee. No, I'm blind. Not actually, but close enough. Like, I need them. Had no idea where my glasses were, my phone, none of it. It was just my kid. And I can sort of imagine, at least from, like, a shock or adrenaline standpoint. And not, my injuries were nothing like a bear attack, right? Like, it was not, we got out relatively unscathed. Like, I had some abrasions from the glass on the ground and stuff. But, like, my only thought was, I actually, sorry, Dad, I abandoned my dad. Because I was thinking, as soon as he said, I can't move my neck, like, because we were all upside down and he's a big dude, I immediately noped it out of that car. Like, I fought the seatbelt and crawled out the window, or however I did it, I don't know, it's been a minute, over the glass. And I was just like, I'm getting my kids. And as soon as I had my kids, I was like, my dad. And then my phone, and I was like, I felt kind of stupid after, because I asked a first responder, I was like, I need my phone, which not in like a, but I was like, I need to call my husband, but it's like all of those things that you think you'd be like, oh yeah, I need that,
I think I just like think like, I don't know, because like, I'm like, I would definitely grab like my wallet, and I would grab my phone, but like in that like situation, I know for a fact I would not grab anything.
No, you run.
Yeah.
Run straight out. That's just, I mean, I think it's a hard perspective to be able to like, like it's hard to be able to get into those shoes until you have been in those shoes.
Especially bear attack.
Oh my gosh. I know. Because that's like...
Nobody would ever know what a bear... It's like a shark attack.
Yeah.
Like, I would think that I would just, like, hit a shark in the nose. Like, I'll be fine. Like, no.
Go for the eyes.
Yeah. But, like, a bear attack, there's nothing you can do.
No. Other than play dead.
Right. And, like, good for her. Like, what? I would be like, get off me!
Yeah. No, yeah. Well, that's why he grabbed the rock, too, because he said that he had seen something about hitting a bear in the nose, and it might, like, incapacitate it enough. Is that the right word? Incapacitate?
Something like that.
Stop it! It would stop the bear, but actually, it's a good thing he didn't, because it would have likely done nothing more than just, like, made her mad.
Right.
And it would have just shown the bear, like, oh, so he is a threat.
Right.
Like, yeah, because you're trying to eat me, but anyway.
The rock definitely crumbled for a reason.
Oh, yeah, for sure. That was, like, an act of God. Yes. Like, 100%.
God was like, nope.
No, not today.
Dust.
So, covering his head, while for the sake of others, greatly benefited Johan because it essentially sealed the cuts and gashes on his head, where the injuries were so damaging that you could see his skull. Johan and Jenna called for help for about 45 minutes, ending up found by a wide-eyed man and his wife who tracked down a ranger for assistance. The ranger radioed for help, and the two were rescued where they both laid, not seeing one another until about a week after Johan's surgery.
Insane.
So they had tried to, like, get in there to get them together, but they were too far apart and it was too dangerous to land in certain areas. I quote my sources also, so if anybody's like, she has no idea what she's talking about, I promise I do, but just in case, I put the sources in the description. So,
but, like, another thing is, like, falling is one thing, like, 20 feet,
that's its own trauma.
50 feet, in a bear, like, I can't even imagine.
Yeah, see, like, that's what I started saying a minute ago, but you know how I roll. I'll be having ADHD to the extreme.
Same.
But, like, at least in the car accident, it was like, the trauma happened, and I was like, that's that. Like, threat eliminated. There is no threat.
And then the
Where's the bear?
glass and everything.
Right.
Like, there's, like, so many other parts to it, but, like...
Right, but where's the bear?
Right.
Because it's like, oh, good, I'm alive. But for how long? She's going to get her friends and come back here.
Yeah.
I don't know if at this point he realized she had cubs. I don't think he knew until later. I didn't see anything in the article about that. But I bet learning that after the fact was like, no wonder, because that's like the only time that I won't say the only time, but again, from my limited research that I did on this case, what I was seeing was like, they are more prone to attack any mother animal, but especially a mama bear.
Right.
Like, it took several hours for help to arrive, about 6 in all. Johan lost about half his blood volume from a tear in an arterial vein in his scalp, dropping his blood pressure in the helicopter to a staggering 80/30. For reference, normal blood pressure is about 120/80. He was taken to Kalispell Regional Medical Center, where he went straight into 7 hours of surgery. Jenna was flown to a different hospital, Harborview Medical Center in Seattle, Washington. Bear mouths can carry exotic parasites, but miraculously, neither Johan nor Jenna developed any form of infection from their bites. So, that's wild.
And it was, like, in their face, too.
Yeah, their heads. Like, it bit the base of his skull. So, like, he felt the puncture in the base of his head back here. And felt that pressure, and then the crack. And so we're about to get into their injuries. Yeah, and it bit Jenna in the face. Because that's the other thing, too. She had seen the bear first, right? And said, oh, no. But then her dad stepped in front of her. So, like, from the jump, Johan was the center of this bear's, like, I'm fixing to mess you up, you know? And so Jenna's laying there with a broken back, getting her face bitten by a bear. Like, Jenna is a real one. And I was reading, like, a lot about her, like, healing and stuff after the fact. She is incredible.
And
like,
I think my ACL is enough. Like, I couldn't imagine a broken back and, like, a cut. I bet they was a cut.
We'll get we'll get to that. That's what we're about to jump into is their injuries. So, but isn't that crazy too though? Exotic parasites,
and they had nothing.
Nothing. No infection. That's what I'm saying.
On their side.
Yeah, for real. Exotic because like it's like whenever it's a rare bacteria or parasite like that, it's like if we don't, I don't know. I'm not a parasitologist, but like.
But I'm sure it'll be hard to get rid of or like taken care of.
Yeah, because it's like the medicines that we have are based on experience. So if there's limited experience like, with those,
she broke her back and she still survived.
Yeah.
Like that's
crazy. Yeah, all of it. So their injuries. So Johan had a laundry list of injuries, including degloving of about 60% of his scalp. His neck was broken in 3 places, a fractured eye socket and disrupted eye muscle from a claw, a compound fracture of his C2 vertebrae, which is the part of your back that's like up by your neck. So it's like lumbar. What is it? You know what it is. It's a lumbar? Thoracic? Is that right? I'm going to sound real dumb if it's not. No, whatever. That's like the middle of your back. And then and actually also on that note, your cervical vertebrae, that's the scary ones to break, especially like your L2, that's the one that can paralyze you. And okay, I'm not a spinologist either, so take it with a grain of salt. This is like from my memory that I didn't research this, so this is just off the top of my
high school diploma,
my pea brain. Yeah. Hey, I've got some college education there. And then your C4, if you break your C4 vertebrae, like you can't breathe. So it's like C4, breathe no more. Right. I remember my dad, he was a medical nerd.
Well, I learned all like the medical stuff in high school. So
that's why I said that. But keep that in mind, okay? A compound fracture of the C2 vertebrae. So his C2, the C4 is the one that if it's broken, you can't like C4, breathe no more. That's scary. That's extra scary, okay? So a broken nose, a ruptured left bicep, a broken wrist, and abrasions and innumerable bite marks encompassing his entire body. While Jenna had not been the main focus of the Grizzlies' attack, she had stable fractures in her back from her fall and 2 very severe bites, one spanning from the corner of her mouth to the top of her head, the other on her shoulder. Also during her fall, she sustained a laceration on her ankle that was so deep it nearly reached her Achilles tendon. So Jenna's injuries, like she has had that cut, and from my understanding, it was the corner of her mouth to the back of her head. So, like, encompassing her whole head. And then in her shoulder, too. Which she uses for, like, something really beautiful, which we're also about to talk about. So, since their harrowing encounter, as of 2018, Johan has received a multitude of additional surgeries and physical therapy, but continues to run marathons and has even returned to the original trail of the attack more than once in efforts to rid himself of the demons of that day. Jenna's healing was different, with hiking being more difficult and even large dogs leaving her feeling unnerved. However, when she volunteered at a hospital during her time in college, she used her scars to relate to patients' own pain and healing, using the horrors she experienced for the betterment of others, which I thought was really amazing. And, like, I like to think that if I were in this situation and I was left with, on top of the, obviously, like, even big dogs, you know, so, like, on top of emotional and mental scars and trauma, that physical trauma, I like to think I would be able to use that the way that Jenna did, but I think that really speaks to how strong she is.
Yeah, that shows a lot about her as a person.
Right, exactly. I thought that was amazing. So, joined by one of the hikers that had found her and her father on that day, Heidi, Jenna did finally return to the trail with her father, reminding herself that the attack really did happen. Heidi remarked that though the attack had happened, it happened in the most beautiful place in the world. Which brings us full circle, from the end of Jenna's and Johan's harrowing tale of survival and back to the beginning, where the two continued to brave the unknown, choosing to find beauty in all of nature, even in the very worst that it had to offer. So, that's crazy.
That's actually insane.
Yeah. I was, while researching, I knew I wanted to do something with a bear, okay? Because, like, we're going to start our first episode back into Dollies Dread, like, with a bang, right? I was stoked to find the story, because I've heard other podcasters cover it, and, like, I hope I did it. I hope I did it justice. I always want to, in whatever context, whatever type of story we're doing, whenever it's involving real people and families, you know, and I always try to make sure that I am doing it in good taste and that I am putting the victims of whatever trauma and horrific experience they have had. I always try to make sure that I'm putting them, I try to do it, like, victim focused, you know what I mean? Like, in my research, because I've seen some people do it and I'm like, why'd you laugh at that? That wasn't funny. But I think that is amazing, and that is also incredible that Johan has been able to return to that trail and that they can still feel, like, find the beauty in it.
I don't think Jenna could ever, like, go back. Like, even with the car wreck that you went through, like, driving past that road, I would just, like, go around it.
Oh,
like,
I do. I go far out of my way.
There's just, like, no way I would, like, be able to, like, go back to any, like, especially that trail, like, no others. I would not hike for the rest of my life.
And so that was Johan's way of tackling that, which I think also speaks to how differently people can grieve. Like, they experienced, well, not the exact same, obviously, it was a horrific thing all around, but I mean, they experienced the same trauma, but they are healing in two very different ways. Like, you know, Jenna was still nervous around large dogs. And the article that I pulled that from was from 2018. And I can't imagine. Like, she couldn't for a long time. Johan was, like, pushing her, trying to get her to go back with him. And she was like, I can't. I'm not, you know, wasn't in a place to do it. But I got chills whenever I was reading the article about Heidi. Heidi was one of the hikers that had, like, found and helped them.
Right.
And she was, like, encouraging her, and like, it was really awesome. And if you guys are interested in seeing more about that, about Jenna's healing journey and from her trip back to that trail, that is linked in it's the second article that I linked. So, but yeah, that was fun. Okay, so I always like to, before we do our outro, I like to include something happy. So what is something happy that you have going on?
Something happy that I have going on is college. Honestly, like, it's, like, really hard to, like, get back into the groove, but, like, I'm happy and, like, very fortunate that I'm able to go to college and have this experience in my lifetime, because I know a lot of people aren't able to do that, and I'm just very blessed and happy to go back. So yeah.
Well, that's actually my bad thing that you have to go back to school.
I mean, there's
you can't just live with me forever.
Good things and bad things to it, but that's pretty much all that I have going on. So
yeah, I'm with it. Well, my good thing is that I am moving into plural, me, my husband, and my kids, and my bestie that is staying with us right now. We are moving into the new house on Monday.
Yay!
And actually, by the time that this comes out, we may already be in there. So I am stoked, brother. I'm ready.
I am too. I'm ready to be there all the time because it's closer to
it is.
college.
It is closer to your college. See, so that's a good thing.
There's two things.
So, if you want to hear more true crime and scary stories while I work, make sure to like and subscribe. New episodes come out once or twice a month. I do not currently have a set schedule. If you have a scary story you'd like to share, you can send them to my Instagram at Dolls & Co. That's Dolls and Koe. Feel free to leave a comment with other true crime cases, scary phenomenon, and tales of survival that you would like me to cover. Until next time, stay aware and be prepared. Bye!